Hi guys, hi guys. You know when you suddenly get really nervous about something? Well, this is the time. But anyway, let's carry on with what we're doing today. I hope you're all enjoying the glorious sunshine which is outside. I've been outside today myself. I have to say I've been sat in the garden and enjoying some sun, but I've come in because I didn't want to be like a complete red lobster whilst doing the quiz for you. So anyway, because we're all locked down and because we're all supposed to be inside our house, what I thought is why not test your knowledge on a little bit about Peterborough? So all you need to join us is to have a piece of paper and a pen. You will need the internet because what I've decided to do is rather than having it as a question and answer straight away is I want you to be able to go away and do things. So you'll be able to use the internet and you'll be able to use something like maps, Google Maps or Street Map or whatever, so that you can have a look around on some of the questions, which get a little bit difficult because it's not going to be all easy. So, not quite sure how many of you are going to be listening, but I'm sure I'll be able to see you if you're putting hearts or you're putting likes or you're putting anything on the video. So, without further ado, have you all decided on your team name? Have you decided to have a group together in your house? Are you playing against one another in your house to see how you do? I've had a look at some of the questions and some of them are easy. Some of them are going to be kid stuff and some of them are going to be more difficult. So it means that you're going to need to have a hunt around to try and get the answers, but you might know some of them depending on how old you are. So we've got 4 categories. The first category is going to be famous people. So that could be people that are alive or dead that have a connection with Peterborough, whether they grew up here or whether they became famous when they were living here, or we'll have to wait and see on that one. Places to visit. So that's any of the places that you can quite happily go to. You don't have to be an adult, you don't have to be a child, anywhere that you can visit within Peterborough. Then we've got a things to do round, which is all about things that you can do outside when you're not on lockdown. And our final round will be the history of our city. So, are you ready, teens? Let's have a go. Round 1, and just before we do start, at the end of this video, what I will do is I will post up a link where you can then get the question sheet from, just in case you want to be able to put your answers on there. And at the end, you'll be able to send your answers in to us so that we can check and see whether we've actually got a team winner. So now, without further ado, round 1, famous people. So number 1, 1965 saw this tasty creation open in London, but he was from here. Okay, so number 1, 1965 saw this tasty creation open in London, but he was from here. So we're looking for a famous gentleman that has connections with Peterborough. Number 2, a bit more cryptic. Who brought sunshine every day to Peterborough? Who brought sunshine every day to Peterborough? If you're young, you might need to ask your mum and dad about this, depending on how old your mum and dad are. Question 3. And I've got you all thinking now, haven't I? All for one and one for all. Number 3 is all for one and one for all. I told you they weren't going to be completely easy, but hopefully you'll be on the right line of thinking. And remember that you can use the internet to try and discover the links through, so after one part to another part to another part to get your answer. Question 4. Once a large building stood in her name. Now I need you to write this down, which is the answer, but it's in a Caesar cipher code. And the answer is A, Z, E, P, D, and a space, Y, W, R, A, H, H. Now you'll need to look at what a Caesar cipher is and you'll have your answer. So, once a large building stood in her name. Okay, I'll give you it again. A for apple, Z for zebra, E for echo, P for papa, D for delta, a space, Y for Yankee, W for whiskey, R for Romeo, A for alpha, H for Harry, H for Harry. So all you need to do is have a look and see what a Caesar cipher is. Hopefully some of the kids in your team might already know this from their maths lessons if they've covered anything like that yet. And the last one in the round is number 5, ding dong, floating on the river. Number 5 is ding dong, floating on the river. So I don't expect you to know all of these. You can hunt around the internet. That's the idea, so that you've got something to do in the time that you're at home with all your family. You can allocate somebody to looking on the internet. You can be allocating someone to have a look at the maps or whatever we need to do to get the questions. Okay, so that's the end of round 1. So it's just 5 simple questions. Are you ready for round 2? So round 2 is places to visit. So any one of you can go to any of these places, mostly at any time, and have a great family day out, depending on what you like to do. So round 2, question 1. How much is it to tour with a great view of the city? How much is it to tour with a great view of the city? So obviously you'll need to be hunting around different websites for our visitor attractions in Peterborough so that you can get the answer to these ones. Number 2. A drummer's reading could send this little blue chap to sleep. A drummer's reading could send this little blue chap to sleep.
I didn't catch that.
No, I didn't think you did. So anyway, Siri wants to play as well, obviously. Okay, question 3. Ghosts, Romans, and Jurassic fossils can be found here. Ghosts, Romans, and Jurassic fossils can be found here. So remember, we're doing places to visit. Question 4. A grade 2 thatched cottage and the Nightingale's nest will help you find this place. So, a grade 2 thatched cottage and the Nightingale's nest will help you find this place. Aren't we so glad that we have the internet? Isn't it just fantastic that you can just go online, type something in and find the answer? Whereas years ago you would have had to have probably gone round your grandparents' house and asked to borrow the Encyclopedia Britannica. Question 5. Opposite a bronze eagle, there are no horses now. Okay, question 5. Opposite a bronze eagle, there are no horses now. Great, so that's the end of round 2. How are you doing? Are you all doing okay? Are you managing to get some of the cryptic clues? I don't expect you to get them all. Some of them will be straightforward. If you think hard enough, and think long enough about what the clues are in the questions, you should be able to get them. And then with a bit of hunting on the internet and have a look on the maps, you'll be able to find. So, are we ready for round 3? Round 3 is going to be things to do. So it's going to be lots of different things that you can do around Peterborough, not necessarily just within the realms of Peterborough, because obviously we've got some outskirt places, Warrington, Walton, Paston, Fengate, everything which is in our Peterborough postcode. Okay, so question number 1. Blue and yellow will have you in a spin all over the city. Question 1. Blue and yellow will have you in a spin all over the city. Is it something that you do? Is it something that you go and do, maybe at a weekend? Is it something the kids do? Question 2. Okay, listen carefully. This is where you're going to need to have a look on a map. So you can use Google Maps or something like that. Okay, so there's different parts to this question. Go north of the city to a crumble bridge. Go north of the city to a crumble bridge. Then go west to reach the north and look for a monetary road. Go west to reach the north and look for a monetary road. If you can get that far, you'll find a frozen orb here. You'll find a frozen orb here. I'm going to read that again because I know it's quite a long one. So, go north of the city to a crumble bridge. Go west to reach the north and look for a monetary road. You will find a frozen orb here. Okay, so number 3. Remember, you're not going to get out in your car. You're not going to go on your bike. You're not going to go outside. You're going to find it on Google Maps. Number 3. Tigger would surely love to play here. Tigger would surely love to play here. This could be one for the kids, depending on what they do at weekends, after school, on the holidays. But Tigger would surely love to play here. So you've got to think about who Tigger is. Who are Tigger's friends? Anybody know? Okay, number 4. Sit back, feet up, lights out. Sit back, feet up, lights out. That's number 4. Got to give you some easy ones, haven't I? Question 5 is going to be another maps question. Okay, so again, it's going to be quite long. So the first part is, so you need to get your location first as where you need to be. So travel south from the city centre to a Meloni Elettrodomestici brand next to some fizz. So travel south from the centre to a Meloni Elettrodomestici brand next to some fizz. The second part is drive up a Shropshire town and you'll find a red door. Drive up a Shropshire town and you'll find a red door. But be careful you don't get locked in. So definitely use Google Maps for this so that you can have a look. This is where you'll find your answer. Okay, just so that I know that you've got them, I'm just going to read number 2 again, which are the 2 long ones, which are for the map. So number 2, go north of the city to a crumble bridge, go west to reach the north, and look for a monetary road. You'll find a frozen orb here. And number 5, travel south from the centre to a Maloney electrodomestici brand. Look for Maloney. Next to some fizz. Drive up a Shropshire town and you'll find a red door. But be careful you don't get locked in. Now remember, no going out in your car. You don't need to go in your car because you won't find it. This is purely on maps. You need the maps to be able to see what we're hunting for. Okay, on to our last round. So this is going to be your history lesson for today. Hopefully you'll be learning about lots of places to go, lots of things to do, and a bit more about the city where you live. So, round 4, are you ready? History of our city. Number 1. An 18th century building used as a granary and a warehouse until dues were paid. So you've got to think way back into the 18th century. An 18th century building used as a granary and a warehouse until dues were paid. Some of you might know this straight off. Some of you might even go to it. You've seen it probably lots of times. Question 2. When did this cool hacienda style building open? When did this cool hacienda style building open? It should be an easy one for everybody. And I'm sure everybody's been at one stage in their life or not. Number 3. Where was the family home of the builders of our town hall as it stands today? So not the old one, but obviously the one that we have now, down Bridge Street. Where was the family home of the builders of our town hall as it stands today? So to give you a hint as to how some of these work, so you need to find out who built the town hall and then work out where they used to live. Number 4. We all know Thomas Deacon's Academy, but what was he? We all know Thomas Deacon's Academy. Some of you might even study there. But what was he? What was Thomas Deacon? Number 5. Built on theatre remains one of our first department stores. Number 5. Built on theatre remains one of our first department stores. So it may be a case of you might need to speak to your granddad or your grandma over the phone or Skype them. See if you can do some of these without actually going on the internet, which would be interesting to see who gave you the answer to them. That would be something they would definitely know about, no doubt. And the quiz itself is 20 questions. So that is it for the moment. And as I said, as soon as I finish this live video, I will put a link onto a post so that if you want to download the question sheet, you can do. There's no answers on there. You can download the question sheet so that it saves you actually writing it. And if you'd like to enter your questions into us, you can do. You can send them in a complete list in an email to marketing@welovepeterborough.co.uk. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back around 5 o'clock, give you time to look through all of these questions and get the answers. And if anybody posts them, emails them to us, then we'll come back at 5 and we'll let you know which of those teams won with the highest amount of numbers. And what you'll also see is in the event details, what I would like to do, if the quiz is a success and people like what we're doing, it would be nice to try and give back to some of the attractions which are around Peterborough. I know the NHS are getting a lot of, can't even speak now. I know the NHS are getting a lot of donations at the moment, but what I'd like to see is that some of the attractions that we have around Peterborough that none of us can get to at the moment, some of them are only voluntary funded, which means that they just rely on voluntary workers to come in and do, and the money that is taken on the door for you to go is obviously what keeps them going. And without that, we really don't want some of these to go down the tube just because we were all told to stay in. So if you'd like to make a donation, you can find that on the actual event page link, which is in our events tab, along with a zillion other events that are in there at the moment. So I will love you and leave you and let you get on with trying to find some of these questions. Have fun. And then I'll see you back at 5 o'clock so that you can check your questions, or check your answers, should I say, check your answers. Okay, so see you all later. Have fun in the sun. And if you're going to be out in the sun, then please keep the sun cream on because it's hot out there and we don't want you having to call the doctors or call an ambulance because you've all got sunstroke. So I'll see you all at 5 o'clock. Bye for now.